officially, or arguably, the fastest 14-inch laptop in the world. This is the ASUS Zephyrus G14. This was hands down the most anticipated laptop release of 2020. In actual fact, I'd say it's on par with the hype around the Zephyrus Duo. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so because we will be dropping a review on the Zephyrus Duo. Now let's get straight into this, but I am going to save the best for last and I'm going to put it up against a MacBook Pro as well as an iMac. Now the Zephyrus Duo G14 comes in two colors. It comes in a black and a white. Well, some people call it black, but in actual fact, the correct color name is Eclipse Gray. It's got a full metal body, but it's got a very unique feel. If you head over to the keyboard area, it's got a very, I don't know, it's almost like a rubberized coating. The whole laptop is definitely something that's not going to scratch up very easily, even though it's metal. Now I want to talk about the design of this, and we're going to get to the anime matrix lid, but I just want to talk about the simplicity of it. A lot of gaming and powerful laptops that you see have a real over-the-top design. It's super futuristic, it looks like a gaming laptop, and ASUS kind of didn't go all the way with this one. You've got this really clean front. When you open it up, your keyboard design really rings gaming, and some of the button designs, like the power button, looks like a gaming button. And you've got your dedicated volume, mute key, and your super cool ASUS button. With your Zephyrus branding, you know it's a gaming laptop. But from the front, you know, you could open this in an office, in a coffee shop, and it's not going to look like you came there to literally go and rip up some Call of Duty. You've got air vents on the side and you've got air vents on the back. But on the back, it just looks super gaming. With that Zephyrus branding, it really looks like a powerhouse machine. I love it when a brand just comes in, they just add that touch. Now, the AMD Ryzen 9 4900HS processor, 3 GHz, turbo boost up to 4.3 GHz, 8 cores, 16 threads. Now, if you want to understand how insane this processor is, I'm not going to go into detail, but I'd suggest you go and you do a little bit of research if you're into the serious technical stuff of why the AMD Ryzen 9 series chips are so impressive. And I think what we're going to show you in the benchmarks is going to blow your mind. It comes with an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 graphics card with Max-Q design and 6 gigs of GDDR5 RAM. Now when you're talking about screen, all the models are 14-inch. So every model is the same size. However, you do get two different screens. You get a full HD 1920 by 1080 IPS display, and you also get a UHD 2560 by 1440 IPS display. But there's a major difference between the two. This is where it comes to your needs. So the full HD version has a 120 Hz display. So if you're into gaming, I would hands down recommend you buy the full HD version. But if you're into more content creation and you do a little bit of gaming on the side, I'd go with a Quad HD display, 1440. It is only 60 Hz, but it is color accurate to 100% sRGB. And oddly enough, on the Adobe scale, it's only 75.35%. Now the display only has 300 nits of brightness, which isn't that bad. And any gamer or content creator is not really going to go and sit outside anyway and play on a laptop, even if it was bright. Now this model has 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and you can get a 24 gig option. I will drop an update in the description below if it is upgradable and you can do it yourself. Now it does have a 1TB NVMe PCIe 3.0 SSD in it. And for those that are wondering, the M2 slot does support either SATA or NVMe drives. It has a backlit, chiclet keyboard. Now for the serious gamers out there, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Now everyone out there that doesn't know what I'm talking about and you're just looking for a really great keyboard, this has that keyboard and it sounds pretty epic. It's got a nice solid tone to it. It hasn't got that clunky, clacky, terrible sound. And the key travel is so precise and it's so good. Recently I reviewed the ASUS ProArt StudioBook Pro X. Now that is a very high spec professional laptop. And to be honest, I think this keyboard is better. But I do have one issue with this keyboard. And a lot of people know my reviews are 100% honest. And if there's something that I don't like, I'm gonna mention it. And I'm gonna show you right now. Now, one thing I do love is the spacebar. As you can see, it's got that really unique curved design, typical kind of gaming style. And if you sit in like this and you go with your thumb, on your spacebar and you're actually working with the keys, especially when you're editing. I do that a lot for start-stop on your play needle, but I have a problem with this. The spacebar isn't as accurate on the low end as the high end, so here 100% of the time it gets a click. And over here, it's almost as if it misses. Now I don't know if it's just the model that I have. If you like to quick tap your spacebar and you move really fast and you work on the edge of your spacebar, you may just have to change the way you use the spacebar and just be conscious of it. So it's not a game changer, but it's just something to keep in mind. The trackpad. I have no idea why, but 99% of all Windows-based laptops never get a trackpad right. It's always spongy, it's got a funny feel to it, the click isn't right, it's not as accurate when you move it, it doesn't feel like the cursor is connected to your finger. That's what makes a great trackpad. You know, if you move and it's so precise, that user experience adds to everything. And this is why I'm so fussy when it comes to a good trackpad. And this trackpad, hands down, the most accurate feeling trackpad I have felt on a Windows-based PC. Now it does have a built-in microphone, but it doesn't have a webcam. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Nothing that a webcam can't fix. You know what? Often when we talk about laptops, we look at the negatives. But I've seen so many streamers nowadays, because that's what every review is going to knock on. How many gamers are streaming using a webcam? Let's be honest. Webcams are generally used nowadays for Zoom calls. But I mean, if you're into gaming, webcams, maybe not. You've probably gone out and bought yourself a decent webcam, or you connecting a camera to it, you know, using a capture card or some other system. So is it the end of the world? Definitely not. Now it has a fingerprint scanner. Most laptops, if it had a fingerprint scanner, I probably wouldn't even mention it. But this is pretty cool. The fingerprint scanner is the power button. And when you open the Zephyrus and you push the power button, it actually caches and remembers your fingerprint. So when it arrives at the lock screen, it automatically logs you in. So you don't have to hold your finger there again. It's like a one-touch open. I don't know why laptop manufacturers aren't doing this all around. That should be a standard. It does have 2 speakers and they sound pretty decent. I know a lot of gamers, you've got your headphones, but if you do forget your headphones, you've got a set of speakers that aren't going to disappoint you. Then you have a 180 watt AC adapter and it looks pretty neat. A lot of laptops don't really come with nice AC adapters. The charger looks pretty bulky, clunky. It was almost like it was picked out of a factory as a generic sample and they were just like, yeah, we'll put that in the box. ASUS went with a totally different approach over here. You've got the ROG branding. It looks really good. It looks really neat. It's just a nice touch and it's appreciated. Now for those wondering, one of the USB-C ports is power delivery. So you can power your laptop via USB-C. However, it's not 180 watt via USB-C. So if you are running full speed gaming, fans blaring, you probably find that depending on the power bank that you're using, it's gonna drain the battery still. However, it will still give you longevity on your battery life and you'll be able to play a lot longer. Now looking at the ports, you have 2 USB-C ports. Both are 3.2 Gen 2. However, only one of them has power delivery with a DisplayPort and G-Sync. You have a 3.5mm combo audio jack as well as 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports and then your DC in port. It weighs a mere 1.7 kilos. Now when I say a mere 1.7 kilos isn't exactly ultra light, but considering what's compacted into this full metal chassis, 1.7 kilos is impressive. And its footprint compared to a 15-inch MacBook Pro is a lot smaller. And that gets down to the almost bezel-less design on the 14-inch display. Now we start getting to the cool part, the anime matrix. Now if you know the Zephyrus G14, you understand the LED lights. I do want to make it clear that there are 2 models. Besides for the 1440 and 1080 screens, you do get the laptop in a choice of with the anime matrix lid or without. Now both of them will still have the pinhole looking top. However, only one of them has got the LEDs underneath. There's 1,215 of those LEDs. And you can fully customize whatever appears on the lid of the laptop via the Armory Crate within your laptop. And it's pretty simple. Now I know a lot of you are going to say, it's a gimmick, it's not worth it, it's just going to get boring. I don't think it's that cool. There's always negativity when it comes to a laptop. And if you don't like it, I don't think anyone that's got the laptop actually cares. It's cool, and you probably don't like it because your laptop can't do it. I think it's such a cool feature. Gamers love customization. There's not a single gaming setup that looks identical to someone else's. So by having a lid that you can customize on your laptop, it is insanely awesome. And if you're sitting at a coffee shop and you want to send over your number to the lady at the other table, well, now let's talk about Tomb Raider. We ran Tomb Raider at 2560 by 1440, and we averaged an FPS between 58 and 64. Smooth, no problems, no major dips, dropping down to 40 or 30 FPS. And if you know a game like Tomb Raider, you really don't need anything more than 30 or 40 FPS. So then we dropped the graphics down to full HD on Tomb Raider just to see how it would perform using the 1080 screen. And we averaged between 64 and 72 FPS with the graphics still pushed right up. Now let's talk about Cinebench. So we decided to run Cinebench R20 on an iMac, and I'll put the specs over here for you so you can have a look at what iMac that is. So we ran Cinebench and we got a score of 2,547. Then we decided to run that MacBook on Cinebench. These are the specs of that MacBook, and it got a score of 2,959. Now bear in mind, Cinebench is a lot more processor intensive, and that is an i9 processor. And then we decided, let's see what the Zephyrus can do. 3,401. It smashed both those machines, and it's cheaper than both those machines. But then we decided, let's put the graphics to a test. Let's see what would happen if we ran Unengine Heaven on all three of these machines. And let's see who comes out on the top. Now, if you know Unengine Heaven, you can change the settings, and not every single test will be the same if you test it and if I test it, because we can have different settings. However, what is 100% uniform is if I always use the exact same settings. I'll put our Heaven preset over here that we ran. Now for the results. My iMac got an average FPS of 29.8 with a total score of 750. That i9 MacBook with its pretty decent graphics card got an FPS of 28.1 and a score of 709. When I saw those stats, I really didn't think that the Zephyrus G14 was going to perform that well. Zephyrus G14, I'm laughing because it was a sad day in the Apple office. We got an average FPS of 60.7 and a score of 1,528. I even ran Premiere Pro on here and edited 4K footage at full res. I didn't have to half down the res. For sure, in a longer project, maybe a 12, 15-minute project, you're probably going to get a few frames that are lost, but I would run it with no hiccups, no problems. So who is this laptop for? It can be for anyone. Whether you want to game or whether you want to create, and you're looking for a laptop that can do a bit of both. The Zephyrus G14 is a pure machine. It's small, it's light, it's compact. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to come back for the Zephyrus Duo. Thanks for watching, wherever you are in the world. Have a good day, good evening, good night. Goodbye.